let's go ahead and begin this. So I've never actually looked, as far as I remember, at anything that Chad Prather has made. Chad Prather? Prather. Probably Prather. I don't know. Dude works for Blaze Media, and I have covered a lot of stuff that Blaze Media has made for their channel. Basically, they are a conservative organization that tries to put a shit ton of media out there on YouTube and other platforms to indoctrinate people into being right-wing. So this video is called, "This LGBT activist is wrong! Parents have rights and kids don't." I feel like anybody who makes the argument that kids don't have rights is probably, I don't know. I would not trust them with kids in general. But let's go ahead and take a look here. Not for predatory reasons. Just, I would not trust people who did not think that my children, the day that I have them, don't have rights themselves. I wouldn't trust somebody around them that said that. That's a red flag to me. Let's go ahead and take a look at the video, though.
Play a video. This is where we are. Play clip number 1, please.
Of this idea of parents' rights, that parents have a right to know. They have a right to know if their child is going by a different name or using different pronouns in school. And the thing that keeps hitting me about this is that parents don't have rights, not parents' rights. Kids have rights. Individuals have rights. We have seen in our legal and justice systems that the decisions that parents make can be legally overridden by their children. Children who are old enough to understand a concept are old enough to provide their own independent consent to that. And if a kid knows what pronouns are, then frankly, they're able to consent to changing their own pronouns, and their parents do not need to be involved in that decision.
Gobbledygook.
All right, well, now we've poisoned that well. I don't think that's necessarily gobbledygook, but there is some things that she said that are incorrect. So let's go ahead and start out with the fact that parents' rights are actually a thing. Parents do have considerable rights in several states. They can require obedience of their children. They can represent them in court, unless the parents themselves are the victim of a crime committed by the child. They are allowed to control the personal property of their children. So those are parental rights. Parents do have rights. So I'm already going to say I disagree with the person that he's reviewing. However, that does not mean that what he's about to say is correct, because there are some things that she has said here that I do agree with. And one of those is, if your child changes their pronouns, you as a parent do not have a right to know that, nor do you need a right to know that. Now, in an ideal world, parents would have a right to that, right? In an ideal world, parents would have a right to know if their kid is trans or is going by different pronouns or is choosing a different name for themselves. In an ideal world, parents would in fact have that right. However, my argument as to why they don't is that we do not always have the guarantee that parents are good parents. We do not always have the guarantee that parents have their children's best interests in heart. And as a result, if you happen to have a parent who's been indoctrinated into anti-LGBTQ shit, who happens to be a QAnoner, who happens to be a right-wing nutjob, who happens to be the type of person who would follow, say, the NIFB, that person does not need to be involved in any of those decisions that the child makes. Not a single one of them. Because that person cannot be trusted with that information. They cannot be trusted to treat their child well in the event they get that information. They cannot be trusted to be a good and responsible parent with that information. And they cannot even be trusted to understand what being a good and responsible parent means in the situation. But, go ahead, Chris. Let's hear your gobbledygook.
Sheep get slaughtered. Let me tell you something.
How is she being a sheep here? How is she being a sheep here? Also, let me just say, now that I know that YouTube allows us to say that people of particular political affiliations can have any number of bad things happen to them, and it's not against YouTube policy, well, I'll leave it off at that.
I've raised 4 kids. They have no rights in my home. They don't have individual rights. They do what I tell them to do. Now,
granted, that one actually legally is within your right. You can request obedience of your children. That is a thing that parents are allowed to do. That is within their legal rights. Again, however, call CPS? No, I'm not going to call CPS on this person. I'm not. See, here's the thing. I have no evidence to believe that Chris is not a fit parent, nor am I going to... The internet does this stupid thing. This really, really stupid thing where they hear a red flag about somebody on the internet and they immediately start talking about how this, that, or the other thing should happen to them. I don't know if this person is actually a good parent. I have no way of knowing that. I have no way of knowing that. Don't call CPS for anyone you only know via the internet. They're slammed as it is. Yeah, no, you end up creating a system where it is way too bogged down for CPS to do anything when you start throwing that out for just random people on the internet. However, kids do, in fact, have rights. They do. If we take a look here, the definition of a child is anybody who is under the age of 18. Children do have the right to not be discriminated against, no matter who they are, no matter where they live. When adults make decisions, they try to make their decisions in the best interest of the child. However, a child does have the right to advocate for themselves as well. Children do have the right to their own identity. They are allowed to have official records, and they are allowed to have things messed around unofficially, just internally. They are allowed to do those things. Those are rights that they have. Children also have rights to not be separated from their parents. That is another child right. Now, that's a child right that happens to coincide with the right to obedience perfectly fine. These rights don't have to come into conflict. Children have rights to have contact with their parents across countries. Children have rights to not be kidnapped. Children have rights to have their views respected. They have the right to have their ability to give their opinions freely on issues that affect them. They have the right to have their thoughts shared freely. These are things that children do have rights to, and they can be advocated for. UNICEF literally has an entire section on this. So the guy is giving me, Matt, I do not care about children's consent, Walsh. This is the thing that I see from a lot of conservative commenters that really, really bugs me. The idea that a child's consent, the idea that a child's want and wishes don't matter, those wants and wishes matter. They matter a lot. It matters a ton what your kid wants. And if you're the type of parent that wants to say that you don't care what your kid wants or what their opinions are, then I'm sorry, but I don't have to give a shit about your opinions as a parent. If you're going to discredit what should be the most precious thing to you in the entire world, then I'm going to discredit you offhand. But okay, let's continue.
Good guy. I have a conscience. I listen to their opinions. I listen to their thoughts. I want to hear what they have to say. I do.
At least he does have that thought. But again, that literally is a right that they have to be heard. But okay.
But at the end of the day, no, they don't have any rights. This idea that everybody gets a say in everything is a bunch of bullshit. And that's why our country is in the shape that it is. The fact that...
Okay, so everybody gets a say in everything, and that's bullshit. Oh, hi, hon. Hi, honey. I see Saki in the chat. Anyway, yeah, so here's the thing. When you say that the idea that anybody has rights and everybody has a say and that's a bad thing, are there certain people that you don't want to have a say in things? Not just children. If you don't want to have children to have a say in anything legally, I can understand that. Wait until they've hit an age where they are old enough to know certain things before they start making those decisions. Fine, sure, I'm okay with that in most senses. But why should people who live in a world where everything does in fact affect them, why shouldn't those people have a say in that world that makes laws and regulations and things that affect them? Like, I'm gonna be honest, in a perfect world, I wouldn't let this dude here have a say in anything. But he does. He gets a vote, same as I do.
We just let anybody vote for somebody that's going to be running for office. That's dumb. Let's go back to what the Founding Fathers did. Had to be the head of the household and had to own property.
Oh, he legitimately doesn't want people who live in apartments to vote. He doesn't want women to vote. The head of the household wouldn't be a woman. And people who own property, not everybody owns property. People live in apartment complexes. Those people wouldn't be allowed to vote. Oh, I thought we were just going to be talking about kids and we're just talking about people not being allowed to vote in the United States. Oh, so this guy's just a piece of shit. Never mind. I take back anything I said that was even slightly positive about him.
Oh my God, that's so antiquated.
Yeah, that is antiquated. It makes you sound like a boomer.
And effective. It's effective. Why are we letting the scum...
Yep, fascism is also effective. That doesn't mean that we need to advocate for it.
...of society who have no skin in the game go out there and dictate our political and cultural future.
The scum of society? Wait a minute. Who's the scum of society? Just people who have apartments? People who have apartments are the scum of society? They have skin in the game. They fucking live here. That's skin in the game. Living in the United States is having skin in the game. What the fuck?
You can't make an argument. Oh, everybody has a right. No, they don't.
Yeah, they do. We literally have a right to that in the United States. If you want to start arguing that certain people don't deserve rights, then there are certain... According to YouTube, I am allowed to say that conservatives deserve to have their rights stripped away from them. And that is not a thing that I can be hurt for on the platform, apparently.
Just giving everybody a privilege. Everybody don't have the rights they think they have. And my kids in my home don't necessarily have the right either. I didn't have the right when I lived in my father's house.
I don't give a shit what happened in your father's house. I don't have to care about that.
To go get my ears pierced or to go get a tattoo. You know what happened, though? I became an adult. I became an adult. And you know what? I still remember the day my dad saw a little tattoo peeking out. Where is it? This little one right here. Peeking out of a V-neck. He said, "What the hell did you do?" Hey, what did you do? And
So your dad was an idiot, and he had... Like, okay, don't get me wrong. I don't like tattoos either. I think tattoos look gross. That's just a thing that I've never been able to get over, and I don't know if I will ever be able to get over that. That's just a problem that I have. But if somebody's going to have that opinion about a person exercising that autonomy over their own body, maybe you don't need to be an adult operating in adult society. Like, that's the type of person that he thinks should be writing laws.
I still had the fear of God in me because, again, I respected my father. Now, again, was he a...
Why do you need to have the fear of God in you for just putting ink on your body?
Domineering, you know, tough guy persona, macho, what he said goes. Is that the kind of person he was? Yes! And you know what? It kept my ass out of trouble.
And what about for all the people that it puts them in trouble? What about for the people who grow up in that exact environment and it suffocates them to the point where they start acting out and doing dumb shit specifically because they are constrained by that environment that you're in? What about them?
Whenever I got to a point where I wanted to make a stupid decision on a Friday or Saturday night out with my ball-playing buddies, you know what I heard? I heard the voice of my father saying, "Don't you do that shit." And it kept me alive. It kept me out of jail. It kept me from having to pay fines to the legal system. It kept me out of court. It kept me from cutting...
I can't imagine what type of stupid decisions have to run through your mind that those are the consequences of your actions. When I think of doing stupid shit, I think of, like, going to Walmart at 1 a.m. and buying a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I think of buying another Magic pre-con. That's getting wild for me. How in the world... What is your default way of thinking that the things that run through your mind would necessarily get you sent to fucking jail? What?
You know, things off of my body or having stuff, you know, permanently scarred on my body before I knew what I really wanted in life. I don't know if you know this or not, just as an example, these tattoos, they don't go away. I can go out there and try to get them laser removed, but I don't want to do that. This was a permanent decision.
Wait, but hold on, my guy. You just admitted that it doesn't have to be a permanent decision. You just did that. You literally just pointed out that you can have a laser remove them. What?
You know when I started getting it? When I was about 32 years old, 33 years old, something in that nature. When I was old enough to know what I wanted, what they meant, what it meant to me. So no, my father would not have been okay with that when I was 15, 16 years old. So this idea of individual rights and parents don't have the rights, lady, you're smoking dope. And
Okay, so first of all, people can smoke dope and not actually have too many negative repercussions on their mental faculties. It's about the dosage, my guy. But anyway, I hate to say that I agree with him. I agree with him on the point that parents do have rights. They do. But I also agree with the woman that children have rights. I agree with both of these things. I
don't mean the good, relaxing kind. I'm talking about the kind of stuff that makes you real freaking stupid. Real stupid.
Oh, okay, so he doesn't mean just, like, weed. He means, like, I don't know, meth?
So no, kids, you don't have rights. You don't have rights. Because you know what you'll do? You'll do like the kid I mentioned in the video earlier this week. You'll take the 2 Oreos versus the $10,000 in cash. Because you're seeking the immediate gratification, which is what stupid kids do. So when they want to jump into a trend and say, oh, I think I'm going to be a boy today, you got a parent that steps up and says, no, the hell you're not. No, you're not.
Oh, okay, cool. So he's doing the trans trender thing. The idea that despite the wealth of documented evidence we have, that there are people who figure out that they are trans early on in life, really early on in life, despite the overwhelming evidence of that. No. Despite that, it's just the parent gets the final say there. He sounds like the lousy school principal or teacher that says, in school you have no rights. Yeah. Now, he's just an authoritarian dipshit. Said that analogy doesn't work because 10,000 is instant gratification. It is. It is. But I don't know what example he's giving there. I really don't know what example he's giving. I thought this was going to be about children's rights, and no, it just ended up being about being anti-trans. That's just what it ended up being. So, I've mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again. Here's the thing with trans people and growing up. When you hit the age of puberty, if you are thinking that, hey, you don't feel like you're the gender that your body seems to be shaping into, which happens more often than you'd think, when that happens, the thing that we do is we allow people to go on puberty blockers, only after they've been in their first year of puberty. We let the body start producing hormones normally, and then we interrupt it. You're allowed to be on puberty blockers for about 5 years. After 5 years of being on puberty blockers, you tend to be about 16, 17, 18. When you are around that age, then the current scientific consensus is that it is okay, mentally, psychologically, it is okay for that person to start undergoing hormone therapy. And after hormone therapy, after a year or two, they are allowed to seek surgery if they choose. After that point, they're well into adulthood. So the best part about this is now we get to listen to the sweet serenading voice of Growlithe and Chip barking while we try to finish the topic, because I got sent something on TreatStream, and now the doggos are in full yell mode. It's great. It's amazing. The cowboy dude is triggering as fuck. I shouldn't have thought out my sister or past self-harm. Oh, I see stuff has been happening on the chat that I haven't noticed. Oh, well, we're going to try to get through the rest of this.
And a loving parent will walk you through that and try to help you through the confusion.
Yeah, you know how a loving parent helps through trans confusion? Hey, honey, let's go to a therapist. Let's see what needs to happen. Let's talk to a professional. That's what a loving parent does.
And now, you turn 18 years old, Katie bar the door, you can go out there, cut your dick off, get tattooed, join the military, get piercings, so many in your face that your skin whistles when the wind blows. Go do it. When you're an adult, go do it.
Now, no, he doesn't really believe that. And I'm going to go ahead and say this is the reason why I believe that he doesn't really believe that. Because almost every single one of these people, they make the argument that it's okay to go do the thing where you be trans, you take the HRT, you do the surgery, you do the thing. They advocate that you can do that when you become an adult, But then they also, in the exact same breath, start advocating against the rights of those trans people. Rights to have access to their health care, rights to be referred to how they prefer, rights to have access to bathrooms, rights to be able to go into the same types of sporting areas that they do. Like, they argue against this stuff repeatedly. They don't actually want people to be able to transition when they become an adult. They want to make transitioning so inconvenient for people when they become adults that they can discourage it just by being cruel. By and large, that's what they want.
Now, granted, I don't think you're an adult at 18. That's just what society has said. I think you're not an adult until you're about 25 years old and your prefrontal cortex is, somewhat gotten fully developed. But you'll understand, by the age...
Then I guess he should never date an 18-year-old. Never, ever, ever date an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old. Hell, if you're dating somebody who's 24, I guess that's pedophilia.
Age of 42, I'd change careers 7 times. Good God. I still don't know who I am. People are like, Chad Prather, I've never heard of you. Who are you? I'm 51 and still trying to figure it out. So here...
Well, at least you admit that you have no idea what the fuck you're doing.
We are. Guys, no. This nonsense right there saying, oh, the kids have the right to go out and do what they want to do. No, they don't. Now, you can call...
No, they do have the right to go out and do what they want to do within reason, just like every other right people have within reason.
Call me narrow-minded. You can call me puritanical. You can call me dominating, over-dominating, overbearing, bigoted. You can call me whatever you want to call me, but
It's a good thing that we already will call him that.
Telling you the voice of mom and dad, not the bio bubble that gives you birth. The bio bubble doesn't have a conscience. The AI robot nanny doesn't have a conscience. Doesn't. Mainstream media, social media, TikTok, the influencers, they don't have a conscience. They're after the clicks and the likes and the views. It's up to the parent who has a vested interest. And so
I'll say this. I have a vested interest in people in general. Because, by all means, he's part of that bubble himself. He doesn't have any vested interest in other people. But I'll go ahead and say, if he's allowed to pretend he has a vested interest, then I'm allowed to pretend I have a vested interest. I have a vested interest in people who are in my audience being happy. I have a vested interest in people who are on the internet in general not going out and doing things that are stupid. Because those things directly influence me and mine. When there are more happy people in the world, that will create more happy people in the world.
So until you're out there, kids, with your own vested interest in society, you don't have the right to make those kind of decisions. You don't. Thank God for parents. The bio bubble wouldn't have given a shit if I got my ear pierced.
Yeah, thank God for parents. Thank God for parents who allow their kids to transition if they need to take those steps. Thank God for parents who allow their kids to go on HRT at the ripe old age of 17 at 18. Thank God for parents who allow their kids to take puberty blockers if they decide that they need that. Thank God for kids that will actually refer to their children by the name that they would prefer to be referred to, as opposed to a name that they do not like or causes them pain, distress, or whatever. Thank God for parents. I agree, just not the way he wants.
I don't have my ear pierced to this day. Like, my dad's been gone 6-7 years now.
You don't have your ear pierced to this day because you're afraid that it'll make you look gay.
Sort of thinking about going and getting it pierced just because now. At this point, my father'd come back and whip my ass.
Cool. Then your father's a bigoted idiot. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you.
Let me tell you something. I was so intimidated by my father after he'd had 2 strokes and was paralyzed on the right side of his body, he could still just give me that look.
That's not a good sign. That's probably a sign you were abused. That's probably a sign you suffered trauma. That's not a sign you need to do that to other people. That's a sign you need to prevent that from happening to other people. Dear God, these people need therapy. That was my first exposure to this person. Again, that I remember. I might have healthily removed that from my brain. Who knows? As usual, let's take a look at the comment section real quick to see what we have here. I hope no kid is born into this kind of family or even adopted into their families. Hashtag save the children. This woman needs serious help. The first one of my boys voiced his opinion against my house rules. I gave him the option to leave if he thought he could do better than what I was giving him. After giving it some thought, he decided while he didn't agree, he would go with it until he was 18. Never did I have that issue again. Fun fact, you legally don't actually get to do that. Legally, you, in most states, actually have to keep that kid there. You can't do the abandonment thing to your kid. Ay, oy, oy. Here are kids' rights. Roofs over their heads, food in their bellies, clothes on their back, and carrying oversight from their parents. That's it. That sounds like they have rights, then. Boy, that sounds like they actually have rights. What a weird concept. Parents sure do have rights, especially if their child believes they can change their gender from one to another. Again, in a perfect world, I would agree with you. But we don't live in a perfect world. So we have to have controls in place for potential abusive parents. That's what CPS is for. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you haven't already. And as always, everyone, insert end video tagline here. It feels so weird doing these at the end, after so many years of doing them at the beginning. But, the next piece of fan art we have, hi, welcome to the end of the video, is from Ivana Dragmeyer. Me dropping regarding Twilight Sparkle in Suris' DMs and Suris reading the entire thing on stream as chat suffers. Yeah, I'll read green text stories for $50. The next one we have here is from Azur Katz. It said, remember to rotate and date your... Oh no! Who opened the jar? There's just a slime Suris there, and there's a whole bunch of words here I can't pronounce. The next one we have here is from Papoka. Just says, wah! Wow, Luigi. As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's go ahead and go to the end of the video, the credit section specifically. Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability a Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, Sajit, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.